Wizards of the Coast just murdered Legacy. Wizards of the Coast banned and restricted announcement happened yesterday, and whilst many people were speculating on the cost of Stoneforge Mystic and trying to make a quick buck out of their fellow players because capitalism, actually a much more exciting thing happened. After an extended period of Grixis, Delver and Checkpile taking over and, to an extent, ruining Legacy a little bit, Deathrite Shaman finally got the fucking axe. So I mean it when I say it, kids. Legacy is dead. Long live Legacy. I'm Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet, and the Magic the Gathering content creator and equivalent of being too sexy for your own shirt. I am Magic's premier #1 beefcake. It's really hot in England, and I've just got back from Italy, so ciao, grazie, prego. That's some really I just got back from Italy where it's really hot and it's kind of the same heat here, apart from we don't really have air conditioning in the UK, so I've just closed my windows and my door and things in this room to record this video because there's people out in their gardens and there's fucking noise everywhere. People are cutting their own lawns and I am dripping. I am fucking dripping. For those of you who don't know, Deathrite Shaman has been a problem for a while. He gives access to a mana dork and turn 1 ramp in decks that aren't base green. It gives incidental graveyard hate in its ability to mess with graveyards, which makes it tough on decks like Lands, Reanimator and Dredge, and it presents a solid clock with its ability to ping people too, whilst doing all of the previously mentioned utility bits as well. The card is obscene. It's also a 1-2 because R&D was smoking crack when they designed this little elf that could, which means it pushed 1-1s out of the format, namely Goblin Lackey. Upon the back of Lackey, an entire extended and legacy Goblin deck and archetype hinged, but was pushed to relative obscurity because Deathrite Shaman just brick-walled it. But don't worry, as I come to in a moment, the boys are back in town. So Deathrite Shaman was too good not to play, so almost every deck with access to him, from Elves to Grixis Delver to a low-end through to Maverick and even some variants of low-end Pox decks would play him. To use the technical term, the card is fucking absurd. So it's gone, finito, dead. It is no longer for this format. I'm going to be streaming tonight at 7 PM BST over on Twitch to say farewell to the ubiquitous little shit rag. So if you're watching this on the 3rd of July, come and hang out tonight, or if it's a little later, the VOD will be off my channel a couple of days after the actual stream. Alongside that, Probe has gone too, and again, this makes sense. The card has been accused of giving perfect information to decks that shouldn't have it, and allowing some decks to simply be an uninteractive battle cruiser if they wanted to be. Playing around Daze, Force, Disruption or Removal, combo decks like Storm or Sneak and Show can just go for it with perfect information, or perhaps even more bizarrely, a mid-range deck like Grixis Delver or Pyromancer can just see that their opponent's on combo and shuffle away these useless removal spells in hands of a Brainstorm. The problem with this is that the card is essentially colourless thanks to Phyrexian Mana. Now it looks like Phyrexian Mana might have just been a mistake in general when you look at Mental Misstep and what that did to the format as well. There's little to no cost or downside to playing the card. To be honest, if it weren't for the existence of decks like Death and Taxes, Burn or aggressive red decks presenting turn-by-turn clocks, more decks would probably have adopted it just for the information it provides and the thinning. Playing Probe effectively means you're playing a 56 card deck instead of a 60 card deck. However, personally I believe there's more to this banning than simply the information it provides and the battle cruiser uninteractive combo matchups that it makes. Aside from easy mode Magic, I think this might be a matter of fact of balancing. With Deathrite Shaman gone, a lot of fair mid-range and control decks lose their dork. This means that the format slows down significantly because people aren't ramping ahead. This also means that turn 1 combo decks like Oops, All Spells, Belcher and other sorts of degenerate nonsense might get significantly better if they can just get in under the diverse fair metagame that spawns from this, especially if people shift away from playing blue for a little bit into decks like Death and Taxes, Prison or even Elves, decks that don't get harmed so much or even buffed by the death of Deathrite Shaman. In some ways, banning Probe might be a preemptive nerfing of strategies that no one really enjoys playing against or with for that matter. Friends don't let friends play Belcher, kids. Remember that. So in the words of my role model and surrogate pop culture father figure, Batman, who benefits?
It's the first rule of solving a crime. If you want to know who did it, you need to find out who benefits. Who benefits? Who benefits?
Well, the socialist SJW shadow cabal over at Wizards probably do. You just know that they're a bunch of Dredge players up there, sat in their ivory Dredge towers, playing Dredge and dredging and but seriously, who benefits? Firstly, graveyard strategies do at first glance. Reanimator and Dredge don't have to battle through mainboard hate now, meaning their game ones get a lot easier. This means I'm a little bit fearful of perhaps the resurgence of blue-black Reanimator and the red-black glass cannon nonsense getting a bit better as well because Deathrite Shaman's not going to keep it in check. Lucky for D&T players, they just put a sort of Tormod's Crypt on a body in the new core set, so we might be okay, but sucks to be you guys. Who am I fucking kidding? That card's probably too slow as well. But there are other graveyard strategies that look forward to no DRS. Lands and loam decks in general get a buff, whilst Maverick decks can make use of massive knights that don't get just shrunk by this incidental hate from a little 1-mana elf. Remnant Excavator can ruin their opponent's day and mana bases much more easily. That said, Wasteland as well as its sister-in-arms, Richard and Port, are both to benefit from this. Without a mana dork in 70% of the metagame, Mana Dinar gets much better. In essence, I do believe Death and Taxes has got a minor buff here. An interesting point that my friend Alex brought up on Twitter is that now that Black-Green is getting effectively nerfed, is the Mirren slot open for something else? Perhaps Brightling, or I might try Brimaz as well. For this reason, and just to be safe, I ordered a foil Brightling from MKM. You can never be too safe. Now with the 1-2 dork gone, it means 1-1s can come out to play again, with 2 coming to mind specifically. Goblin Lackey, as I mentioned, won't be brick walled by the majority of the format anymore, and the lads might be able to get there a lot easier now. Expect to see Richard Ports and Krenkos being sleeved up on this channel over the coming months. As the popular British colloquialism says, lads on tour, make some goblins. The other premier 1-1 is Numble Mongoose, as I've written in my script. It should say Nimble, I've written Numble, I don't know why. Who also benefits from the opponent keeping their grubby mitts off the graveyard too. Rob Delver will certainly be the first hot flavour as people decide to loose the goose upon the world once again. I do see a lot of stifles in our futures. But who loses out on this? Well, Czech Pile ceases to be much of a real deck as you can't obnoxiously curve Deathrite Shaman into him to Turok, into True Nemesis, and Grixis Delver gets a similar sharpening due to no longer having a 1-mana Planeswalker who happen to also be incidentally a mana dork. These decks will exist in some capacity, especially Grixis, but I could even imagine it perhaps being Delverless and some straight more control builds with a heavy reliance on that particular zombie fish. Him to Turok probably sees less play in general now as well, so it'd be nice not to get him 6 times a night while streaming. Hurrah! Perhaps Leovold decks might shift back towards traditional Shardless style lists. That's something that I could see happening as well. Interestingly, with Probe being gone, as Ape on my Discord has pointed out, is that Doomsday just got a lot worse. Now, no one gives a shit about Doomsday other than, I don't know, the handful of Doomsday players out there, all I don't know, 7.5 of you. But Doomsday really hinges on having cantrips, especially free cantrips, to go into its combo. So Probe might be replaced with Street Wraith perhaps in that deck, because they just need that cantrip to get the Doomsday piles to roll into the combo. And so in some ways it achieves what they were setting out to do by removing the ability to have perfect information and therefore have to play around things some more. Interactive Magic is basically where Legacy is at its best. Ultimately, it's a bit sad to see such a fringe and weird, unique deck die when these things happen, but damage on the stack did that to some cards as well, so bannings and changes to rules will do that too. And as some shameless self-promotion, you can click the link in the description below to watch the Doomsday stream if you want to watch some actual Doomsday being played. Ultimately, the people who really win in this is just Legacy players in general. There's some salty idiots out there complaining that their deck got banned out, but in reality that's fucking nonsense. Decks will shift and change direction because of the lack or access to a dork as good as Deathrite Shaman, and this will breed both creativity and diversity within the metagame, which can only be good for the format. I understand the upset over the loss of something like Sense's Divining Top, as it looked like it would kill a whole deck or archetype, but the Deathrite Shaman ban only stops one thing: 4-color good stuff piles, which is basically people having their cake and eating it. Deathrite Shaman is not the linchpin of any particular deck or archetype, instead simply being the best 1-mana creature ever printed, thus being auto-included because of its stupid hybrid mana costs, allowing it to be played in pretty much every deck, and its parent toughness meaning that it doesn't really have a downside. That, ladies and gentlemen, is when you know a card is well and truly obnoxious. Good night, sweet prince. Legacy has been my favourite format for a few years now, and this only instills me with more and more confidence and excitement for the format than ever before as we go into this new dawn of Legacy. The coming Pro Tour is even more exciting now that we know that half the top 16 Legacy decks won't just be some combination of Grixis and 4-color bile. So to summarise who wins, well, I would say all of us, but really it's only all of us who can afford to play Legacy because the format's a little bit too expensive because Wizards are still bamboozled by the whole reserve list problem. And by bamboozled, I mean ignoring it completely. Yeah. I've been Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed my opinions and some background information on the bannings and why I think they're good and what I think's going to happen with them. Be sure to give it a like, share it around. Please comment below if you think something I said was completely utterly farcically incorrect, or just say something you think I might have missed. I would love to have a conversation around what you guys think about these bannings here. I will be streaming some 4-color bullshit tonight because it's the last hurrah for the King of Legacy, who is now dead. And you guys thought my title for this video was clickbait. It's not. Legacy is dead as we know it. The Legacy that we knew and loved, despite it sort of getting into a weird place that people weren't quite happy with apart from the 4-color control players, it's gone. Long live this new Legacy. And by long live, I mean as long as people can still play it with the horrible pricing. Ta-ta for now.